society, making it to a place where we can see behind the curtain and go behind the curtain and enjoy and do all of those things that is supposedly the American dream. I would imagine. You remember when Pac did the interview, and he said, you know, you got this hotel room, and behind the food, behind the hotel doors, the food and the salami, and everybody's throwing food, and we on the other side of the door, hungry as all outdoors, ain't got no food. He said, doom, 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 doom. Hey, we are hungry. Please let us in. Please let us in. He said, if you keep denying us, right, that song starts to change over time. Next time we knock, we hungry. Give us some food. You see how the tone in the song starts to change. He said, then the next time we knock, and uh, what was it? Coming through the lock, picking the door, blasting. You
Right.
see what I'm saying?
They taking it.
Right.
We taking it now. And so I would imagine that a world that is not racist, we no longer have those experiences.
Well, James Bond went and said something similar to that, and y'all know I suck at dates. It had to be around about 67, 69, and it was in one of his debates, and he said that the very people who are asking to be a part of our society will be the very people who tear it apart when it's not achieved. And I'm paraphrasing, of
Yep.
course.
Yep.
I mean, and so in your statement, and in respect to what Pac did, it's a true statement. It's a reality.
Right.
Right. And hopefully in a non-racist society, that's not what we have to look like.
And for the record, we're now at a point where we're saying that we coming through the door. We're at that point.
Well, I think we are at that point. I don't know if we're fully at that point, and I'm curious to see how far we where we go.
Absolutely.
But going back to that point, like when we talk about resources, you know, I wonder my question, and I'm curious. This is just my own personal curiosity, and I'm about to stick myself in the room with some people who I think can enlighten me a little bit as well.
Sure.
Um, when we think about the resources and the opportunities, are we as a people, black people, us, the four of us sitting at the table, doing what we have to do every day to realize that? Right? Are we working and looking at the opportunities within the negative and positive realm of things happening, right? To level our playing field or level the playing field. Are we putting things in place that are gonna better the lives of our children as a whole? Um, and that's something that I think we have to absolutely, and I've said it in a sense. We got
Yep.
to change the policy, we got to change culture.
Yep.
But I think we have to start looking at things differently too,
Right.
and function differently. Because otherwise, if we continue to think the same and act the same, we'll get the same.
Right.
Nothing will really
100%.
change.
100%.
When you talk about when you mentioned resources, one of the things that crossed my mind was um in 2018, the black spending dollar was noted, if I'm not mistaken, at $1.3 trillion.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we suffer from a lack of resources. I think we suffer from a lack of properly applying our resources, doing things to better ourselves as a society, as a culture with our resources, supporting our HBCUs,
Teach.
and these things of that nature. And as you just said, we really have to change the mindset, change the culture, change the mentality of the people, of our people.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
instead of making millionaires, billionaires, Nike, and all this kind of other stuff that we love to put our money into,
That's right.
so that we can look good, how about we work on being good? How about we work on investing in ourselves, in our schools? So instead of waiting for someone else to teach us the things that we want our children to know, that we educate them, that we build our own schools. What they used to do, there used to be black schools, and we educate our own children, we educate ourselves. We have resources.
Right.
I just don't think we use them
Right.
effectively to see the change we want to see.
So that's an excellent point. Because it kind of ties into what I was getting ready to say to Miguel's point, and So I think a lot of our issue um, is we all, for the most part, I would say, have the same goal, right? We all just want to achieve. We want to be, happy, take care of our family, just do, regular stuff, right? No harm done to us. We not trying to harm nobody. We want a chance to be something, to be great, to take care of our families, to do all of those things that you dreamed of when you was a little kid, when you was 3 years old, 4 years old, and you was having those big wild dreams, right? That's all we want to do. We don't want to do nothing extra, really. So, but the issue comes is we all don't see it the same way. And when we all don't see it the same way, then you got this guy that's off on a tangent, being Carson. We got this guy that sees it this way, and then this brother he sees it this way, and then this brother sees it this way, and it looks to the common person like we don't know what the hell we doing, like we ain't got our S in order. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know, y'all caught that? I ain't cuss. But we ain't got our stuff in
Don't
order.
be scared.
You know what I'm saying? Like we just look confused because he sees it this way, he sees it this way, Joe Bob sees it this way, and then these 40 people over here they see it this way. And so there's some level of confusion amongst the totality of the people. So my thought process in that is we need good strong leaders that are clear and concise, have the outline, and I think we got some. Um, I think we got some really good people, some dope people out there. And then, you know, a lot of times what catches us up is skeletons in our closet. And you know, that's the one thing that I kind of just, always respected Obama about is that, he didn't mind telling you that, hey, I done did this, I done did that. And then he had the message of hope, which I love. Like I believe anybody can achieve anything if they put their mind to it and are willing to work for it. But I just think, we get lost in the sauce, not seeing things the same way. Like if the goal is to achieve A, that's everybody's goal is to achieve A, right? Then let's outline the proper steps to get to A.
But who's to say what's proper?
That's where we got to have a conversation. That's where where we all get the leaders in the room and say, whoop, whoop, and it's got to be people that are respected.
Why they got to be respected?
Because don't nobody want to fool with nobody that ain't respected. If you've done, that's why I say, if you've got some skeletons, put it out there. One of the things that I love about Miguel is that he always puts his stuff out there and he don't mind talking about it. And so when he calls me and says, "Hey, trainer, I need you for this," or I, whoop, 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 like when he called me for the podcast, that initial when we was in that room, he called me, I'm up because I know what he is. And a lot of times we don't know what people are, so that makes us hesitate to get up and move.
But if you know who you are, ain't it a little easier to move? Like sometimes I think we have to have the courage to sit in a room with people who we don't know. Right? That's that courage piece. Like, if you're solid in who you are,
Yeah.
there shouldn't be a room, there shouldn't be a room you don't sit in.
I agree
You
with that.
don't engage in. Because there's some people out here, there are people who are leaders, who are only leaders because they showed up.
Wow.
There are people who ought to be leading who don't show up. Right? They have the tools, they have the skill sets, they have the potential, they have the capacity, but they're not at the table for whatever rhyme or reason.
What do you think the reason is?
I mean, it could be a lot of reasons. I can't, I can't be, because you'd have to talk to the individual.
Right.
I can talk about me. Like I was having a conversation with somebody and they was like, in a sense, they was like, yo, Gail, you've kind of lost a little bit of your swag, your goal, your glow. It's not there. And I was like, what do you mean? They was like, you've lived here too long.
Mm.
They've beat you up too much. The person who you were before you came here is not the same person. You don't have the vigor to change it. You don't have the vigor to keep fighting. And I had to listen to that for a moment.
Yep.
What's even more interesting is that I've had multiple other conversations as we talked about other really talented young people who have come to this place. And they've now said the same thing about them. I remember when they had this glow and they had this power and they was willing to walk into the room and they was go. But then all of a sudden over time, they get beat.
Yep.
You know, and so I mean it could be that you get tired.
Yep.
Right. You get tired of saying the same thing over and over to the point where you finally convince new people to come to the table to carry the banner. Right.
Let me ask you
or to
this.
move. Or maybe we're just tired of having a conversation.
Right.
Right. And we're looking for action. And at some point in time, we realize sitting in the room is no more than another conversation. So why even show up?
All right.
Right. So
That's a good
it could be a number of things. But I mean, yeah, ask away.
So do you believe you can have the same goal, right? This is our goal, right? Goal A. And everybody sees it the same, but we all got different paths to get there.
I think, yeah, there's 100 ways to get to any one direction. And I think we have to be willing to experiment. I think we have to be willing to experiment. I think we have to be willing to take the risk to go in all directions. Because the place we're trying to go to, if we're talking about racism specifically, and I'm not the guru behind this, not even close. And that's why I think I like having a conversation, you know, amongst people that, you know, I like, so that we can break it down and figure it out, right? And so if you're listening, you know, or watching, you know, we're not the masterminds behind this. We just having a conversation, and we hope you do too.
Right.
But it's you know, it's looking at it from a standpoint of this country, our society, our infrastructure is built on and founded by racism.
Right.
Right.
Mhm.
And I don't know that we've gone, not in my lifetime, have we gone and or attempted to go in any direction to remove racism from our system. Right. You know, I think we've done some things, and I definitely we have some extremely talented, extremely intellectual folks that are out there in the world, and they're doing their part. But as a group, as a whole, as a group as a whole, as in terms of black folks, group as a whole, in terms of black brown folks, black brown white folks, you know, as a country, you know, I don't think we've moved in that direction.
Right.
And I don't think anyone, I think we all have hypothesis.
Right.
We all have a theory.
Right.
Right. I don't think anyone knows how to do it or it would have been done. Granted, we have people out there who don't want to do it because that kind of change means a loss of power in a construct that has benefited many families, many companies, many countries. Right. And it's a hard thing to stand up and say, I'm no longer going to ostracize, manipulate, and take advantage of in order for my gains. Right. And
Real
that's the
talk.
country we live in.
Right.
Right. You know, President 45 didn't do what's happening. He is definitely a part of it. But our Congress should hold some responsibility. Our mayor holds some responsibility. Our city council. So the point I'm getting at is that all those people we identify and run to the ballot to vote for, and damn it, everybody better go vote. It's one of the most powerful tools that we have and how we use our voice in this country. But if we're not using that correctly, if we're not getting folks that are elected and then forcing the issue for the right policies, like we can't, you know, it's kind of like you ever ask somebody to do something for you that they ain't never done. I want you to chew on that for a minute. You ever ask somebody to do something for you that they have never done?
I probably have.
Right. And it don't happen.
Right.
That's America. That's racism. Black folks, since the concept of this country, has been asking white folk to stop a thing. Right, to end the thing,
But they've never stopped
they've
it.
never stopped it, and they've never done it. Culturally, nothing has changed.
Right.
Right, and so it's on us. I
Right.
do believe it is on us. Right. Unfortunately, you know, and this is a conversation we can have at a later date. But there's a lot of black folks who say no, you got to leave the country. I mean, right. I mean, but even Lincoln said it when in his diaries.
Right.
You know, I'm gonna free them, but I don't know that they'll ever be able to assimilate, and I don't know that we'll ever accept them as people in this country. Lincoln said it, right? He wrote it, and many other white folks since him
Right.
have said it. And that's probably why there's so many countries, or there's a handful of countries opening their arms saying, hey, if you want to leave the United States, it may not be free of racism, but we ain't trying to kill you.
Wow.
Right.
Real
Because
talk.
here in the United States, Black people are still dying. We're still being murdered by
Right.
the very infrastructure that is the United States.
Right.
So but I think we have to do it. We have to have some stupid courage,
Yes.
and see the possibilities. And I think we have to be willing to do some things differently, do a lot of things differently.
Right.
Sometimes we get so caught up in the fight that we don't see the opportunities that exist for us to win.
So that's why I asked you that question though, about the goal and the vision and seeing it versus the journeys, the past. I asked you that because I believe that too. Like I believe the goal should be the same. How you see it should be the same. But you don't necessarily all have to take the same path. But you, in your journey, whatever path you take, you should still see this is what our goal is as a people.
While I agree with that, I think some people, unfortunately, don't have the capacity to see it differently. We talk about success, we talk about communication, we talk about courage. Some people don't have the courage to look beyond their current situation.
Mm-hmm.
Their courage extends to just making it to the next day.
Right.
And we have to find a way to speak to those people.
Yes.
One thing I do like about Obama is he said, yes, we can. He was very inclusive.
That's right.
The message he was trying to get across, I believe, that it's going to take all of us to get where we're trying to go. And for, that person who is struggling just to make it to the next day, their goal or success or whatever it may be is, having food on the table
Mm-hmm.
every day, not having to go out here and sell themselves or their soul or whatever extreme thing they have to do just to, keep a roof over their head or just to have food on the table. There's levels to this, and that's one of your statements, that there's levels to this.
100%.
And we have to find a way to meet the people on the level that they're on, but still galvanize them that we all can head in the direction. And when you talk about the battle, and one thing about the battle is there's different officers who work on the battle from different vantage points, different points of strategy, different points of execution, different points of administration, and we have to have all those people in play.
Do we? Or is that what you've been taught, and that's what you've been trained to think? Have you? I mean, and I think this is the challenge. We say these things because you've been told that, but do we? Do we honestly have to have them in place? Have we tried something different? Right? I do think people have the capacity to think different. That's a choice.
Right.
We either choose to be the same. When you wake up tomorrow, you can choose to do the same thing that you do every day, or you can choose to do something different.
100%.
That's life.
Yep.
Right.
I agree with you on that. I think some people don't see that choice. They don't see themselves having the ability to make that choice. But I agree with you. They have the choice. The choice is theirs to make. I don't always know that they can see it. I don't know if that they can always know that they have that choice. I don't know if they always can see beyond their immediate situation enough to realize that you have the ability to choose to do something different.
Well,
Right.
I mean, yeah, you have to. I mean, you don't have to. You can do whatever the fuck you want.
But that,
Yeah,
that,
yes,
that-
But
that-
I do agree with you.
People who live in the struggle, if you want the struggle to change,
You have
then,
to change.
then you have to change it.
Yep. 100%.
Right. So
Real talk.
here's the thing, right? You want the struggle to be different. We have to lay out. So if you're saying, okay, we're taking it to a point of, there's an individual, they living their life, they doing their thing, they struggling from day to day to keep food on the table. Right. Okay, cool. I get that. Because the people struggle.
Facts.
Now, my question to you is, what are you doing on a daily basis to pull yourself out of the struggle.
That's right.
That's number one. Number two, and I am saying pull yourself out of the struggle,
That's right.
right? Because no one's going to do it for you,
That's right.
right? So pulling yourself out of the struggle might be finding a new resource, might be finding a new mentor or someone to engage with. It might be putting down the alcohol. It might be putting down the weed. It might be putting down the video game. It may be, I mean, there's so many variables.
It might be not sleeping to 10 o'clock.
It might be, right? It might be getting further in your education.
And I think that's where your
Exactly.
courage piece comes into play. Having the courage to do those things.
So here's the thing: you got to stop whining about what you want to do different if you won't do different.
That's right.
Real talk.
We also have to stop asking people, and this is where we are as a nation, you know, to do a thing that they've never done,
Yep.
and typically it may not ever do.
Mm.
May not-
Right? We can't keep the same leaders and expect new results. I think, in my opinion, majority of them have to go, and it's neither Republican or Democrat.
Right.
Because both of them have not been good for Black people, period.
Let that
Right.
breathe.
And so we get caught up in this. And I know, you know, I'm a Democrat, right? And you know, I'm a friend of the Dems, but I'm gonna be honest with you. On a national scale, what have they done from a policy standpoint?
Right.
Yeah, we can trickle down some little bullshit. At the end of the day, on a mass level, have they made lives better? Not so much.
Right.
You know, Republicans have done some things, but not so much. Right?
Real
Those two
talk.
parties create laws so that they stay at the top of it. Right? And at the top of it, Black folks in this country have been served bullets,
An L.
bullets, death.
Right.
They ain't even taking we taking L's, but we get being served death on a monthly, daily, weekly basis.
That mortal L.
Yeah. So I mean, I think we have to. Yeah, we have to think about some things differently. What we can do, which means we need more of us. It's required that more of us run for office.
Yeah.
Right. We can't just show up to vote.
Mm.
Sometimes you have to put your name on the ballot so that someone can vote for you,
Hmm.
because you're the one with the idea. You're the next creative leader. You're willing to do it outside of the box,
Right.
because we need out of the box people.
That's
Right.
right.
We have to, because right now we're in a place, my opinion, we might be in a place where we need to destroy the box.
Real talk.
We
Wow.
need, in order for this thing to whatever this thing is for us to arrive, you know. So again, you know,
And that's it's a real serious point, because we talk about it's interwoven in the fabric of the country.
there's
Yep.
a fly in this house. No, sorry.
Yep.
And when something's interwoven like that, you can't just pull out a
Yep.
strand. You end up having to destroy the whole thing and remake it.
That's right. That's right. And then, you know, you was talking about the courage piece of it. Like, yeah, it takes courage on our part to say we're gonna do a thing, and we're not gonna stop until it's done, right?
Mhm.
But it's also courage on the other side too, because now you're asking them to no longer.
Do what they've always done.
Yeah, right. Now you're asking them to relinquish the privilege that has benefited them their whole entire. You know what I mean?
I think there's an operative word there. Ask. We have to stop asking.
Well, no, I didn't say ask. Did I say ask?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, no,
See, it's a trained thing.
well, no. What I'm saying is,
Yeah. See.
did I say ask?
Yeah.
I didn't
because
think I
we're
did.
We're asking them
They
to
have
do
to have
something
the
different. We're
courage
asking them
to
to
ask.
change.
No, I said I would imagine that it's courage on their end too, because they have to relinquish the privilege that is
Afforded them.
yes.
Well, yeah, no, not even. Yeah, have to.
That you
yeah.
talked about that
Absolutely.
they've benefited from. No, we're not asking.
no, we gotta
I'm
take
not.
it.
I'm not that guy.
Yeah,
No.
we gotta
But
take it, right?
threw me
And-
off.
Yeah, no, yeah, I'm just saying, like,
Woo,
we have to get
like
rid of that
lit.
word ask.
Yeah,
Like, well, I mean,
and
we're gonna-
need
yeah,
and sorry.
yeah, we're gonna have some cooperative agreements. We're gonna have some negotiated positions where there are some give and go and some give and take, or whatever that relationship is. But yeah, man, I think we are definitely in that age of, you know, fuck asking for anything.
Yeah,
But here's the thing: we have to have a vision. You know, we have to know. We don't have to know. We have to have an idea of what a non-racist society looks like. We have to be willing us as a people, black folks, green people, yellow people, we have to be willing to begin to start writing, if we're not already, what that society looks like, what that culture looks like, and what it looks like by policy,
Yep.
right? Because even if we change the laws, because laws are changing all the time. Like when they freed slaves, they changed the law to keep slaves. When they gave people to vote, they changed the law to keep people from voting. So I mean,
Real talk.
you know, we know we can change the policies, but until we change the culture, and that's another dynamic, right? We have to get it's going to be required of us to get new leadership in place, in order to kill the old ways.
Right. I got a question for
Go
the
for
for
it.
the
Let's
group
go.
one. So my question is, and I want everybody to answer. Um, and I'll go first. Um, do you
He gonna ask
ever
himself a question, y'all. Let's go.
no, do you ever think this country be a non-racist society? And so I'm gonna answer that by saying I think it will be, but I think it'll be a scenario where maybe it's your kids, grandkids that see it.
Mm. You know, I would love to be optimistic, but I'm gonna say no. I don't there's when we I don't think this society, the American society as we know it, in any lifetime, we will achieve a non-racist system. It affords them way too much equity and wealth. You know, we're just talking about the United States. And when we look at racism globally, right? The charge for Europe, I'm just going to use, you know, simple terms, Europe to capitalize on North and South and Central America using Africans, and turning them into slaves. Um, you know, that's hundreds of years of a plan executed well.
Right. Shout out to Christina.
Yo, executed well, right? I don't know that we can get there, you know, and it sucks to say that because we're fighting for it,
Right.
right? And I think we're going to always have to fight for it. And we're going to always have to fight for some level of equality and equity. I think we also have to create a system that is for us, by us, within that same institution so that we consistently arrive. But I think in order to undo it, you have to destroy it all.
Yep.
And
You don't know if they'll destroy it all.
man,
I
they are
don't know if they'll
bruh,
let you destroy
the,
it.
Yeah,
the,
yeah,
the,
yeah.
the devil is never gonna let you destroy hell.
Real talk.
Let that breathe.
You know what I mean? That's his playground. That's his house. Ford, Carnegie, Rockefeller,
Facts.
Ogles.
Tia said the question is, will white supremacy ever be a non-issue?
Let
Mm.
that breathe.
Right.
Real talk.
Will white supremacy ever be a non-issue? Nah. I mean, I'd like to think so. I think I would love to say that, you know, white people would wake up tomorrow and all of a sudden they got a new mindset that they're not superior. But how do you undo all that education? Like I was taught in middle school that black people were inferior intellectually, and that we were inferior intellectually, but we were superior physically because
Yep.
we have extra muscles
Yep.
and extra bones in our body. This is some shit that my science teacher was teaching. White, mind you, I was the only black Afro-Latino kid in the school. So I'm the
Wow.
only kid of minority. This is what they're teaching their white students. So how do you remove the education? We got a Jeff
that's-
High teacher who sits on the city council who definitely teaches a skewed American history from a white supremacy role.
Wow.
Right now, today,
Wow.
we've got colleges that have if within their books, in their text,
Right.
that's aligned with white supremacy. You know, the question is, when do we as black people begin to manipulate that text? Right? When do we stand up for both our students and our education system that have teachers removed, or maybe not removed, because they may be great teachers and our students may be learning from them. So what do we have to do to make sure that they teach the other side?
Right.
Or do we bring in another teacher so that we now have balance in education? Because
Right.
I'm not saying just because you're a white supremacist, you're a bad person. I'm not saying that you don't offer something to the greatness of this potential country,
Right.
right? I am saying that I'd rather you go somewhere else, but that's another story.
Right. Right. Right.
I mean, so now I don't know, man. That's a hell of a challenge. That's a hell of a challenge.
The only reason why I say that it would be your kids' grandkids is because right now I think there's more um, millennials, kids, teenagers, high schoolers, what have you, um, in existence that when you say stuff like racism to them or uh, something to the effect of not liking a person because of the color of their skin, they look at you like, what? What is that? Like they looking at you sideways like you weird. Like you a weird dude for thinking that. And so if you magnify that a couple of more generations, that's why I say that.
Well, I don't, that. I think that's true in some spaces, but you know what? Excuse what I'm about to say for all our listeners, because this one's really ragged. But my daughter was called a nigger cunt in middle school,
Right.
bruh. Really? So we can't keep running around talking about millennials and zennials and glennials or
I
whatever,
can't stand you.
and they don't see it that way
Right.
because we know it's taught. It's bullshit. Let's stop with the generic rhetoric.
Right.
We know, first of all, we know young people can be just as biased, prejudiced, and racist. So we got under. So I think hold it here. Let me flip real quick.
Yeah, but you know when we was coming up, it wasn't that many white kids sticking up for brothers and sisters.
Man, let me tell you, I have a handful of friends and they brothers for the rest of my life.
It just wasn't.
But there were, depending on where you were at.
I'm here in Indiana.
I'm
Like
born and raised in California, and I had several,
you had several.
several,
Like
several. Seriously,
well,
my
Went to the
first,
same
my,
school,
my,
man.
my
I had
first,
I've had several.
my first bout in
I ain't
race,
never seen it.
my
like
first
that when
experience
I
in
was a kid.
racism
Yeah.
was 10th grade Mississippi. All throughout all throughout when I was born and raised in California, I didn't face blatant racism like that.
Right.
I didn't experience it literally. And so, to answer your question, as I'm sitting here listening to both of you talk and I'm thinking about it, I don't think that hundreds of years of foundation and system and interwoven and it's all built on racism can be undone in a few generations. I just don't see it. Because for one, they don't have the power. They have a voice. They make a lot of noise, but they're talking to people who are not have no mindset to relinquish the privilege or the power that the racism that has been interwoven into this country affords them. They're, they're not they have no desire to let it go.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you.
And
I don't disagree with
to
you.
Miguel's point, you know, they make a law to appease, and people see it as some great victory. But then they make another law that gets around the law that they use to appease. So, in other words, at the end of the day, nothing's really changed.
You locked.
But and here's the thing: while we're having this conversation, we're so busy talking about them and they, and not us. We should be making the laws.
Right.
True.
We should be incorporating the things that we want to have different, or we want them to be different. And Tia said on there in the comment, not everyone who is white is an agent of white supremacy. And that's true. There are
That
a
is
lot of
very
black
true.
people, there are a
Right.
lot of green people, yellow people, purple people out there in the world
Right.
who benefit for and are good agents of white supremacy.
Right.
And we have to monitor that too. I think we also have to monitor our language a little bit. Because yes, there are racist people who use the system, which is racist, to benefit themselves.
Right.
But you can be prejudiced and not racist,
That's a fact.
right?
True.
You can have biases and not be racist.
That's a
true as
fact.
well.
And I think sometimes we get so caught up in this language that we're really not in communication.
Mhm.
We're not defining. We're not really creating the narrative, and defining how we're talking to each other and
Right.
what we mean. And I think that's super, super, super important.
Right.
Um,
But to answer your question, I'm kind of on with Miguel on this one.
Okay.
I don't really know. I don't think. I know definitely not in my lifetime. I know not in my children's lifetime, because I think it runs too deep. It's in the foundation and fabric of the country, and you have to be willing to tear it down.
Yeah. I'm with you.
And the people who
They and them.
the people who hold the system are not just going to let you tear their system down.
All right.
No.
So, you know, many more people are going to have to die for it.
Like, and
Many or more people are going to have to fight for it.
right, I agree. I'll tell you another reason why I think that it's possible. And again, I'm not talking, you know, in 20 years.
Yeah.
Like
No,
I'm,
no,
t- I'm,
we'll
I'm
talk.
talking,
I got you.
you know, might be another 100 years from now. But is that look at 2020, 2019, like, and like I don't really know how to say this like politically correct. I'm just gonna say it. You know what I'm saying?
Fair enough.
Um, um, but there's so many now. Like everywhere you turn, like there's so many interracial couples and marriages that I think there's a portion that's gonna start to um again galvanize more people, and then those people start to stand up for hey, because now you know my granddaughter's half black, so it starts to change the heart a little bit because now I have relatives, you know what I mean, like I have someone that's close to me that I love, like
Yeah, they're definitely people going to change. They'll have they're going to make a decision to do something different
yeah,
because now they're directly related to, and they just have that opportunity, and I think that's a beautiful thing.
right. so
Absolutely.
so imagine, look at where we are now, like I can't go anywhere without seeing an interracial couple, like it's just what it is, right?
Okay.
But imagine fast forward, and this is what it is in
I'm
2020.
about to throw some vinegar in your water though.
Don't do it, dog. I need a little more water. uh but fast forward,
bit myself.
let that breathe. But fast forward 100 years, like 70 years, 60 years, 50 years.
But to make that statement,
I'm just throwing
hold
it
on,
out
I'm
there.
gonna throw some shit out there.
Throw it out there.
So, but to make that statement in terms of interracial relationships,
Mhm.
we're making an assumption that someone married someone of a different color and then they don't still have biases or prejudice against people of color. See, we're making the
Well,
assumption
no, but
that the person is an anti-racist.
no,
and
no,
they-
no, 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 no. What I'm saying, oh, okay. You talking about the person that got married.
Right. So you got a black. So let's
Okay.
just, you got a black woman. White man.
Yeah.
Right. We assume that this white man loves all black people
Right.
and wants to see all black people do well.
Right.
Well, white men have always loved black women, been raping them since they brought them to this country.
Facts.
Right. Been wanting to marry them since they brought them to this country. But
Right.
that doesn't mean that they want all black people to do well. They just want their one to do well.
Right.
Right?
Okay, I'm with you there.
Right. So and vice versa.
But you notice I also said, like, in my um theory, or
I got you.
I said a change of heart somewhere.
But
But yeah, you did throw a curveball with that one, because yes, I'm assuming that's what I was assuming, that once you marry black,
yeah. But we're also making an assumption that white people understand the challenges of a black white man is understanding the challenge of a black woman. The white woman is understanding the challenges of a black man.
okay,
Right?
Yeah, right.
We're making these assumptions.
right.
That in their relationship, there's a bond. Like, I mean, I've into this life. I don't recall. Maybe somebody T can remind me. I don't know that I've ever met a pro-black dude married to a white woman. Met in physical real life, right? And that white woman, be not conscious, right? So I mean, so there's a lot. So I don't even again, like I don't know, man. Bruh.
And with
Might be
that,
100 years, bro.
along with that, also
Maybe 4.
6. Along with that, also, power has always been held by the few, not the masses.
100%.
So, yeah, we have numbers, we have masses of people, but those who hold and wield the power are still few and well insulated. and I just I don't know. Honestly, don't know. I would like to be optimistic about it. I would like to see it, but we talk 100 years. You know, Lincoln freed the slaves how many years ago?
Anybody do a calculation on that one? Nah, but
And here we are, 200 years plus outside of slavery,
Yeah, but
outside of black people being technically free.
so let's
And here we are in 2020 fighting literally the same fight.
you're right. Now we fighting for independence.
yeah, right.
We ain't fighting to be free.
Right.
And there's a difference,
There's a huge difference.
right? Because
Right.
even the United States of America, right, the colonizers fought their oppressor
To be and then
to
turned
be
around
independent, and
and
then
oppressed people the same way that they
not
were
even turned around. They were oppressing people while they were fighting
to be
to not be oppressed. I ain't chew on that shit for a minute.
Wow.
because according to if I'm not mistaken, written in the Constitution, we literally have the right to uprise.
No, we don't. That wasn't written for us. See, that's a mistake again. That's the other mistake we keep making.
That's right. You're absolutely right.
what?
We
that
keep,
that was written for us. It was
right. That
it's not for
Constitution
us.
of America was not
Not
written for
written for
people of
us.
color. We were one. Was it? We were 1/5,
Considered 1/5 of a person.
Right.
3/5.
3/5 of a person.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
That wasn't written for us. We weren't people
Right.
when that was written. Now we can play all the semantics and the fun things that we do with words,
We was a
Mhm.
little more enhanced.
and now say, look, we've arrived, and now that's for
Now
all
we're
of
a
us.
whole person now.
yeah, we're a little more enhanced.
Yeah. But the reality of it is the mentality and the culture still is
Yep.
the same. So here's the challenge. For listeners, for people at the table, what are you willing to do different to arrive at this goal of a non-racial environment? Whether it's in your city, whether it's in your state, whether it's at the Fed level. And I think this is the thing we have to ask. Let's stop. Let's take the conversation beyond conversation, right? And actually map out, plan, put an infrastructure in place. And what does this look like?
Mm,
Move into action. What are you willing to do different
right.
to arrive at the very thing that we're asking, right?
Right.
That's a major piece.
Real talk.
Started this conversation. Yeah, we have the potential to be great. This country has always had the potential to be great.
Right.
It isn't, and it hasn't been,
Right.
right? There's the opportunity for it to be great. But even if we as a people don't act on that, if we allow as a country one more innocent, unarmed, let me rephrase that. I'm sorry. If we allow as a country one more unarmed citizen, black, white, green, or otherwise, to be murdered by the very institution, our police departments, that are supposed to keep us safe, we'll never be great. Because this is something that we can stop.
Right.
Not only do we have to demand that it stops, but we have to hold both the institution, the people who run the institution, and those who make the act accountable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough, man. It's a rough one. I mean, I think I don't know if it was you or maybe somebody I was speaking with. But they said all of this has really just kind of shown us how far we haven't come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's a tough pill to swallow when you think about the Dr. Martin Luther Kings and, all the people the Rosa Parks and the Hosea Williams and the John Lewises of the world. Like, that's a hard pill to swallow when you realize, oh man, we ain't really came that far.
What, we 40, 50,
Goodness
not even
gracious.
60 years outside of the civil rights movement?
Man, that's a hard pill to swallow, especially when you thought you was really making some progress.
Yeah,
Like, that's a hard pill to swallow.
it is. It
Very
is.
much so.
Like, goodness gracious.
Well, we need to, All
Yeah.
right, but let's swallow the matrix pill and keep moving.
Yeah, no, no, but you know, you jogged my
red pill.
you jogged my
Beast.
mind a little bit when you said, "What are you willing to do?" And you know, that's something I definitely have to give thought to. I know, like, for one, for me, first and foremost, is continue to love all people that love me.
Yeah.
And so I don't care if you black, white, you know, Hispanic, you know, whatever. You know, if you rocking with your boy, I'm rocking with you.
Yeah.
Like, period. Like, that's if there's, you know, respect and decency with how you interact with me, then cool. That's the first start. The second part of it for me, you know, I can't speak for nobody else, but if you know, love and treat people with respect and kindness and care and things of that nature, if you do that to other people, like, that's the second part for me. Like, I can't rock with somebody that treats people poorly. Like, I just can't do it. Like, we can't be friends, we can't be associates, we can't be phone tag buddies, text buddies. We can't. I just don't. I'm not wired that way. And so that's the second part. But you know, after that, like, we would have to really discuss it and outline it and map it out and put a program together and really, you know, get to it. But that's just me at a basic surface level, those two things.
It's good things.
You know what I'm saying?
It's a hard conversation. I mean, I've had some interesting conversations in the last week, and you know, I've gotten some really not hard questions, but questions that require me to go back to think harder, to read more, um, and even step out of the norm, my norm, right? To really define what this thing looks like or what it doesn't look like. And I hope a lot of other people do the same thing,
Yeah.
right? And really start looking at, you know, your house, your city, your state, you know, just looking at it at a national level, um, and being able to answer the question: what does a non-racist society look like?
Can you put Andre's question up?
Yeah, most def.
What's he saying?
I don't think we should ask people to not be racist. That is free will to think how you want. We should fighting for control of our portion of the pie and respect.
Wow.
I don't disagree with you.
Wow.
You know, I'm with you. Yeah, we I think the thing is that I'm gonna challenge you, Dre. Um, we should be fighting for control of our portion of the pie, bruh. Why can't we have the whole pie? Why are we limiting ourselves to a portion of the pie? Right? Why can't we? What's stopping us from having a factory that makes the pie? You know, I don't disagree, but I'm gonna disagree just a little bit because I think we have to broaden our thinking capacity.
Right, right.
You know, I don't think we should ask people not to be racist. You know, all right, I respect that.
Yeah.
Don't ask people not to be racist. Cool. I would ask them to get the hell out my way. Go be whatever you want to be, but let's not use the tool of racism to stop me or to stop us. I'm with you, bro.
Right.
Let's
That's
go.
real. That's real.
No talk.
You know, Tia put up there the phrase is a more perfect union. Respecting each other's humanity is key, and taking actions congruent with that respect is essential. True story.
Yep.
True
Yep.
story.
Facts.
You know, we have to see ourselves as human. You know, I wonder
Facts.
if they saw my man Blake
Yep.
as a human being, and his children as a human being, when those cops pulled his t-shirt and shot him in the back.
Wow.
You know, I wonder if they saw Breonna Taylor as a human being when they shot blindly through a door, if that's how it went down. You know, or you know, did the state officer in Jeffersonville, Indiana, see Malcolm Milky Williams as a human being as he shot him in the front seat of his passenger or the driver's side of his car with his pregnant girlfriend in the seat with him?
Goodness.
You know, this is all this year, right?
Right.
So you know, we do have to see ourselves as human. You know, but there are some people out there who like hunting humans.
Real
Wow.
talk.
Wow.
They training to hunt humans. They hunt us every day like we deer. And it's hunting season.
Wow.
Chew on that shit for a minute, right? But yo, this has been a fun conversation. I thought it'd be a little enlightenment. A little fun to introduce this conversation with the Fritz the Cat joints. So if you had a chance to go look at them, go look at them. Go watch the whole movie and have a conversation amongst yourselves.
I'm gonna say salute to Krista's comment about up there at the top. I can dig that right there, man. I know I just cut you off right there.
No,
Bad
you
old
good. Cut
Fritz,
me off anytime.
But
Krista put out there, as a white wife to a black man, I fully realize that I will never understand what he goes through, what Damon goes through. I will never fully understand who anyone sees him anything but beautiful and smart and funny. I can only empathize, support, listen, and educate others.
I respect.
I think that was help.
That was
I think that was a mistype.
help
I think that was a
educate others.
typo.
All
I'm
right,
pretty
most
sure
step,
it's
most
help.
step.
Yep.
All right, don't get me. I'm reading from a distance.
I dig.
No, no, it was a typo. Is what I'm
Okay,
saying.
okay.
Gotcha.
And
My
I
bad.
couldn't read it because I ain't got my glasses on. But you know,
Everybody over 40 at this table.
yeah, let that
is.
breathe.
Um,
But yeah, man. I mean, I dig that, Krista. I dig that a lot.
She's
man.
really
you.
she's really good at that too. Like
Yeah.
I had a moment before I came. I almost didn't make it today. And she's really good about she'll tell me straight. I have no idea. I have
Yeah,
no
yeah.
idea what's going on. And she'll just hold me for a while and just be there.
But I respect
know.
that versus
Most
pretending
definitely.
like you know.
Right. Right.
I respect that.
And even if I tell her, it's
Yeah,
it just hits. It just doesn't.
sure.
She just has. It's just not a frame of reference that she has.
Yes.
Yes. And as our kids get older, that may change or it may not.
All right.
Because we've had the conversation. Like they're, yeah. She's like they're biracial. I'm like, yeah, but to the outside world, those are black kids.
100%.
absolutely.
And she made a comment earlier. George ain't having it. Like somebody said, he's like, oh, what a beautiful black girl. She's like, actually, I'm brown. I'm black and white. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. It's
Right.
like
That's right.
she knows who she is.
100%.
And there needs to be more of that. And we were talking about I haven't answered the question. I think the answer is no, unless we can figure out a way to they're pumped full of fear of us, which is weird because they've always been the aggressor.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like even conversations that I've had with friends, it's been a year.
Right.
If I mention it immediately, it feels like an attack. Like,
Yeah.
well, what about this? And what about this? And what about this? Like that is always there.
Right.
So I don't unless we fuck it, I'll say it. Unless we give them the proverbial punch in the mouth, nothing's going to change.
Right.
And it seems like that a respective strength, but we don't have the numbers.
Sure.
And that's where I kind of fall into. I know it's really pessimistic. It just, and I don't have any solutions at the moment.
You telling your truth though. That's what you know what I mean?
And I think a lot of people, very few of us actually have solutions.
No.
I think talking about it gets us there a lot faster, and then acting on the ideas that we're talking about, and putting them in play.
Right.
But having that base that you talked about, don't mess with people who don't treat
Yeah.
other people well.
Right.
Like that's a baseline thing, and that's something that my parents taught me. Like I learned, believe it or not, like we were talking about, like we grew up in we went to the same high school,
Right.
and I really didn't get overt. I really get, like, I understood I was black and I understood that racism existed. But I actually took more hell growing up being short than I did being black until later.
Yes.
And so I've had a similar experience with Damon with all that, and that is it's as an adult and really starting to get like Rodney King was the first time that I was like, holy shit, this is bad. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Just from the kids in my class.
Yep.
And you know, that were defending it. I'm like, wait a minute, that was 7 dudes. What are you talking about?
Right.
You know, it's how it can be done, I have no idea. Can it be done? Maybe. But we need more Georges. You know what I mean? We need more Shugs.
We have the potential, and you remember what I said potential was.
Right.
Well, I mean, you know, let's run with it though. So I know we got to wrap up, but let's run with it. We need more Shugs. We need more Georges, right? Here's a question for us as parents. What are we teaching our children where they are right now at the ages they are to be an influence? Right? If we're telling them to wait before they to become adults, game over.
Right.
Facts.
You know, what institutions, what resources are we giving them right now to change the game? Right? You know, we can't say we're doing this for our kids, but we haven't propped our kids up to be able to do it for themselves.
Wow.
They have to see it. They have to be able to articulate it. They have to have a voice in it. Where are their voices? You know, we're sitting at the table having a conversation about it. Are your kids?
Right.
You know, where's your 13-year-old, your 14-year-old, your 20-year-old? You know, where do they get to sit on the national platform and tell their narrative? Because they have one.
Yeah, they do.
You know, so if we say, hey, truly, if we're going to change it and we need more of our young people, then either A, we build we need to build a table for the young people so that they can sit at it. And then we guide them through the process of sitting at it.
Yep.
Right. And so at some point they create their own processes, their own infrastructure, and they tell their story, and then they begin to implement that story.
Right.
Right. Because you can run for office at 18. Are we preparing our middle school children to secure office by the time they graduate high school? Right. Game changer. Or we sitting here talk about go to college, and at some point in time, you're going to get a good job and you're going to have a picket fence and family and, you know, racism or whatever challenges that we face might be over.
Wow.
You know, are we putting action steps? Are we changing our cultural mindsets at home? Or are we waiting for somebody else to do it for us? I mean, if this is about our kids, you know,
your mom said, bring some young people on our podcast.
They welcome. You know, some young people that want to get on the podcast, bring them on. Matter of fact, I'll build them their own podcast.
Right.
I let them have their own voice in their own chair.
My man Kraft said, Lord, help me be better, not bitter. Help me to see the heart of a person and not the color.
True story.
That's it right there.
That's what we've been talking about.
Yeah, that's it. Like, that is totally it. Like, let me see your heart. And if you out here just treating people just any kind of old way, we as a people, as not just black people, but as a people, period, you shouldn't tolerate it.
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. So I'll throw it out there. Anybody who watches the podcast, you're in the Kentuckiana area. You got some kids that want to do something. They want to have a voice. F5 Enterprises will sponsor that. You know, we'll do that. We'll let them. We'll create it. And help them build it to be exactly what they wanted to be. As parents, you know, it's up to you to guide them and see it through it.
Yep.
But we'll do that damn thing. Absolutely. I'll open that door because we should be opening that door.
Yep.
It should be part of our everyday culture, our everyday language.
Yep.
You know, so real talk. So yeah, thanks for that advice, Ma and Kraft and everybody else who put in. This has been, you know, it's been a fun conversation. It started out a little wonky, but it was supposed to start out a little wonky so that we could get through this part of it. I'm a firm believer that I want this conversation as we continue this dialogue in terms of advancement, building our future, building for ourselves. You can use this very conversation as it relates to starting a new business, buying a new home, renovating a home. Because it all starts with having a goal in mind, putting some action steps in place, having the courage to see it through, and stop living on what you could be doing and actually start doing it.
Woo!
There it is.
Let that
So
breathe.
on that note, good people, we love you. It's been fun. This your boy Gelly Gel and the Odd Fellas.
Yes, sir.
Glad to be back.
Yes.
Peace, love, and hair grease.
You dig?
Yep.